80% of the success is in the 1.8 seconds. You screw that up, the ad is screwed up. My hope is you can cover a lot of this with not too much time, like good hooks versus bad hooks, core principles of hook creation. I don't believe in absolute lessons. Like, I don't think anything is absolute, right? You have a chubby fat cat, and like that's not an absolute rule. You can't apply it to everything. So I think of things from first principles or mental models, like what can you apply to short form content, YouTube content, movies, creative direction outside of ads. Those are the core principles that are timeless rather than things that are specific to a brand. So we'll go core principles, high level. There's two techniques that I'll teach you guys, like the story based hooks and then curiosity / intrigue based hooks, which I think are the one most effective with the content that we're getting, and two the easiest to repeatedly create without too much strain of like thinking and like breaking one's head, because other ones are like pure psychology and copywriting, which is not necessary. The visual cues, we've never really talked about these, but now that you have all of your geniuses that can create really cool stuff, like the thing you made recently, Ronaldo, with Google search, right? Like that's a visual support cue. It's a complete thing unrelated to headline banners or TikTok comment overlays, but we can start introducing those, like how to use those, like the theory of that, because you don't want to overdo it, but also they're very strategic of when to do them. And I think the meat of it, like most of this, like I'll go through this pretty quickly, and then this is where we'll kind of collaborate on, cool, here's a scenario, here's a brand, here's how to research it, here's the different personas, here's the hooks. All right, now let's do a real one in real time. You can give me any brand you want, and we'll run through that. So that's the plan. So you'll be expert hook makers at the end of the day. So I'll start with good, the bad stuff, the good stuff, and then core principles, and we'll go from there. I have some examples. I'll just kind of go through theory of what a bad thing is, and then I'll show an example of what bad looks like. But again, going back to what we talked about last week, bad is something that targets everybody, because if it targets everybody, targets nobody. Bad is it feels like an advertisement. For example, some of the Peloton ones feel purely like ads, and I'll show you some examples there. Like they just feel super reenacted, and where we like, again, that's just with the content that was presented, but like that's a pure ad. But on the flip side, when you have, I think Ronaldo, you edited the one with the ground looks, the guy jumping on the bed, like the dubstep version. Like that's an ad, but it feels like a story, right? Like it's like pacing's different, music's different, like, but it's an ad the whole time. So that one doesn't feel like an ad, but there are other ones that he has that do feel like an ad. I think this is the most important thing. Bad hooks show exactly what you're saying, and they say exactly what you're showing. For example, I can read exactly off of this slide one by one, and that's a bad presentation because you know exactly what I'm saying. There's no context around it. There's no story around it. So if you're saying like, check out this hair product, and it just says check out this hair product, and then it's a person showing the hair product, like that feels like an ad. But when you have this bent and curve, it's you're saying something that you're not showing, or you're showing something that you're not saying. And I'll show you a lot of examples of these, but if there's anything to take away from this, it's just as long as you don't make something for everybody and you don't do this, it won't feel like an ad, because otherwise it's going to be unique and mind bending. Again, it just takes time to understand why you don't introduce product, but generally product and price, if shown too early, reveals a magic trick, which basically tells people, well, I don't drink coffee. Well, we're not actually showing you a coffee product, it's a mug. But because they thought that it was a coffee product, they disqualify themselves. Same with price. Price is a very interesting thing because when you show, for example, in the hook, a website scroll of a phone, like scrolling like that, and it has a price, people are like, oh, I'm not paying $100 for that thing. Like that's too expensive. And they immediately will scroll past it. So showing anything with price or product right away will disqualify the ad immediately because it's an ad. People want to buy from people. And I mean, these two things go hand in hand. Taking too long to get to the point, that goes back to the 1.8 second rule, and then wasted frames. As long as you know and have, and this is where the intentionality is very important, every frame in the hook needs to be accounted for. And I'll show you one example. This is one that Aaron, we worked on, like the optimize, like I was like, just cut like 0.2 seconds, like it's just this much, because that will make or break the ad, because any white space people will find a reason to scroll from. So with the hook, I generally will make a hook watch it, cut 25% of it, watch it again, and then cut another 25% of it. And it's like you just got to keep cutting, right? Like you're making a vlog, you're making a movie, you watch it again, you're like, I want to condense this and cut this and cut this. Like that's the part where you do it, and you have to keep cutting and frame on the frame side. Let me show you this real quick. This was this one example. I tried putting the videos here, but it was so fast that you couldn't even see the difference. So I have to go into frame to like literally pull this up. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
All right. So for context, Aaron re-edited this one. It was solid, but there was like one point I was like, we can just cut a little bit more, and it'll probably, I can't say statistically how much it'll improve the watch rate, but it'll be pretty significant.
Here's how our custom rug brand is taking down seams as an error mark. Meet Iman, my best.
I don't know if you guys caught that. It was very quick, but there was like 0.3 seconds that could have been saved from the hook. And basically, it was like seen as an error mark. Stop talking here.
Seams as an error mark.
That's where the talking stopped, but there was still some sort of like 0.3 seconds of like white space. I was like, we have to just cut a little bit more to.
Here's how our custom rug brand is taking down seams as an error mark.
Like it's nothing changes the narrative, but it's just so small that that's the frame, the one wasted frame. And it gets a little bit like edgier and like jagged cuts, and like it may seem weird, but people, when they think, again, no one knows how long a video is, they're just scrolling on it. If they think there's any white space, it just, human behavior is just a scroll. So that's where we just got, the moment someone stops talking, we cut to the next scene immediately, especially in the hook. Narratives are different because you already have their attention, you've retained them. Hooks, you got to get them through and then to the next cutscene. So that's an example of a wasted frame that theoretically should improve it. One thing I'll do just for like all these experiments that we can run is I'll ask them to run both of these, not in this round, but in the future we can, when we make a change like this, we can ask them to run these side by side, and then you can see the data behind like watch time, conversions, just from that one little change. But this is a make or break for sure.
Would this apply to videos that are targeted towards older audiences as well?
Generally, I would say like let's apply this rule to everything, and then once it's fundamentally mastered, then we can like, you can pivot in real time. But it's better to use it across all ads than not. Over time, like when you work with an older audience, like, I mean, it's a whole different strategy. Like there's things that we can be doing that we're not doing, like with older demos, like they're not even using certain mobile phones. Like they're not even on a mobile phone, they're on a desktop, right? So it's a completely different viewer experience. And that ultimately depends on how the media buyer is running ads. When I was targeting people 55 plus, I was excluding mobile devices intentionally. So then I was making, like how I got to that 10,000 mark was not making unique 10,000 ads. It was making variations of a video ad, optimizing it for desktop, but optimizing it for desktop on Instagram and for Facebook. Completely different placements, because Facebook has different things that pop up at different times. Instagram on the stories has a thing pop up at the 7-second mark. Like there's so many different things that change that, you know, we can optimize for, but we need a universal ad. And then when it works, we can then.
It's kind of giving Fielder Ronaldo's question, but I'm thinking like paint your life hooks are kind of a unique scenario where there's not really a talking point. It's usually like a person crying. So it's like, is the right time to cut from that? Like, I know you kind of want to let the viewer sit with the emotion for a minute and not just like fly straight into the narrative. So there might be like a slightly different approach there. But I think it's a good rule that like when it comes to talking points, flip off of a visual the second that talking point concludes. But it might be different when you're dealing with like an emotional scenario.
Yeah, most products don't have, like, I've yet to see anything more than 1% of products have some sort of emotional feel. Like All About Vibe was that product. That was one that I was working on. The personalized pillows. You have Paint Your Life. There's another company called Storyworth. Like, it's so rare nowadays to have those products, and most won't have that. Like, no one will feel a certain way towards this coffee mug or towards this sparkling water, right? Like, it just won't have a certain feel, especially with like the way people are collecting content right now with products. So there are exceptions to rules. I think that's always the thing with rules. Like, there are exceptions, but if you know the fundamentals, and like you can then break the rules and then have outlier results within them. And with good hooks, all we're doing is we're inverting a bad hook. To get something good, you just don't do what's bad. And what is a good hook? You speak to a person, not everyone. And I'll show you like how to break down even more than what we talked about last week. Like, you can go, if you're selling a product that is like earplugs, you can sell to people that are trying to improve their sleep. But then who and how and like what does that persona look like? Like, there's different personas within a persona within a persona. You can get very specific on a hook level, and like, again, someone might resonate with a chubby cat and somebody might resonate with something else. If you're targeting runners, right, you can have a marathon runner, a trail runner, a road runner, an indoor treadmill runner, like so many different personas that target different people. That's a person on the hook level. Concept level, we're talking about a avatar. Hook level, we're talking about a specific persona. So obviously we'll go into this like on the good hooks. Like, some content will be lacking any questions. It'll just be like somebody saying something without a question. The intriguing question is with a TikTok comment overlay. It's with a caption text. It's with a headline banner. You can create the thing that is not being said, right? Like, not saying what is being shown and not showing what is being said. You can create this disconnect, which I'll show you an example of. Like, trying to think of an example right now on top of my head of like something in my environment right now. Like in this case, if someone is selling a product that is like a back, something for posture, like you saying, want to know how I fix my back pain without surgery, that could attract someone. It's pretty vague, but then saying like, I mean, sorry, that's better than saying like, this product fixes back pain. Like, what is this product? Is it a pill? Is it a surgery? Is it a back? Like, it's too vague for people to continue. But asking a question is better than making a statement. If I tell you guys something, that's absolute. If I leave it open-ended, it's open for interpretation. That's more interesting to you as a viewer, as a listener. Same with like, if you look at retention from YouTube, Mr. Beast doesn't reveal the final thing at the very beginning. He holds the story until the end, and then he reveals it. Personal stories are tough, but again, with Paint Your Life, like, that is always there. But saying like, here's how I did this, or my secret hack to blank, rather than saying like, this product is awesome, like, this band got rid of my rashes, like, how I stopped seeing my dermatologist because of this one hack. What was that one hack? Where, like, what does that look like? Again, the intentional frames. Anything wasted seconds is just got to be cut. And then bent and straight, which we'll go into, don't show what is being. This is a really good hook from just a raw clip, or this is I guess you can guess what brand this is. So it's a wallet, obviously, but at the very beginning, who do you think they're attracting with a hook like that? Gun range, American flag.
Republicans. Thought this was a
Sure.
condition one ad, so
Could be.
very patriotic.
Yeah, like, I think it's like, this was their best ad of all time. I think they ran this ad for 3 years and made them at least like $5-10 million from my understanding. Like, just this hook, because it's timeless. Like, you can watch over the shoulder of somebody and you're like, how many bullets did that stop? And then by the time you ask that question, you're already looking at the ad and you're like, will they answer my question at the end of this ad? Oh, we can go to the website and learn more. Oh, I just bought this thing because it's on sale. Done. Because it was cool, it was intriguing, but there's no text here at all. This one I showed you last week, like, I'm never going back to regular cereal again. All it is if you remove this text, you don't know that it's a cereal product. You don't even know they're selling cereal, right? If I play the rest of the ad. So they're getting that angle. This worked so well for them that they then did this. So these are our iterations, right? Same exact intros, but the difference is headline banners. Who do you think they're targeting with that?
Parents.
Yeah. That's all it is. Like if I play each of these right now, it's just going to be the same video. Because they did change those intros.
Mm.
But those things just completely change a video. Each of those are different texts. And it's like they're playing on sugar. Like they can be more differentiated, but what they found was the angle of parenting and then showing that candy that is popular around kids their age. Like, for example, what they switched to was like nerd clusters, if you guys know what those are. Like those things got really popular. You drop that in a cereal box and they know that the kids are always wanting them, and now you're anchoring something that people want and you're just putting in copy, you know that works. That's just how they're playing that game. So notice they're not showing what they're selling, and they're saying something that is relating to this. But if you're just seeing this without this text, it makes no sense. But with the text, it makes sense, or more sense. And here's a couple more brands. Like this is a t-shirt company. Like I think it's a guy putting on a t-shirt, but by saying it's a push-up bra for men, it makes no sense. Like what does that mean, a push-up bra for men? Like obviously that could also be targeting women, right? And if you actually look at their customer base, 70% of their customers are women buying for men. So if a woman's scrolling and she's like, huh, a push-up bra for men, what does that even look like? Like I need to understand what that is. You're already hooked in. All it is a guy putting on a t-shirt. I imagine they have a ton of these clips, but one little thing can fundamentally change the whole ad. And this one, like these are more comedic approaches that these guys do, but so same company, Bridge Wallet, but they're playing on like, again, women buying this versus men getting attracted to a gunshot. They're going after women for this. And that's all it does. Like if you didn't have this text here, you wouldn't have understood, or you're just a guy wearing jeans. Does that kind of make sense? Do you see what they're doing?
Is the first ad for a t-shirt or?
Yeah, I'll play the rest of that.
Oh, okay.
Notice how you don't even know what the brand is. You don't even know what the whole product is. Like you just know that it's a push-up bra for men, and you're gonna remember that, and then you're going to go to the website because of this, and you're curious. And then you see 50% off, and if it's congruent, like if you click on the website and it shows 50% off, the probability of you buying is very high because it's congruent on the ad. It's intriguing. It's affordable because their product is 30 bucks, or like for 3 t-shirts, and that's how it grew incredibly fast. They did pure direct response marketing. Like this is like direct response marketing, comedic marketing. So is this. He used to have this, meet this for that. So those are, I made a list of these brands at the bottom. You guys can like look into them. They've done a credible job with Facebook advertising. But to those core principles, this is what I think about all the time when reviewing hooks, making hooks. I don't consciously have this like saved. I had to write this down I think about them. But when I was starting, like I wish I had like a screenshot of this and I printed it out and I had that next to me. But I'll kind of walk you through all these principles, and you guys can ask me questions on, I guess, if any of them don't make sense. But I have a friend named David. He is a very good editor, and what he taught me was the following thing. When he would edit a vlog or a video, this goes back to like cutting stuff. Every second was cut. Anything that didn't add, any laughter that didn't add, any frame that didn't add, cut, cut, cut. Like it was just everything was cut. And when I learned that, like I would apply that to ads. He was applying it to YouTube videos, and it worked so well because there's no waste anymore. So I called it just like David's rule. Like if I see something and it can be cut, I just cut it. Again, we're talking about hooks, but you can do this throughout anything. And like this goes back to like thinking about ad formats. Like why does an ad have to be 35 seconds? Why can't it be 15? Right? You can cut all this stuff if it will perform. Like that true classic ad was 15 seconds long. It didn't have the true hook, intro, body, close, but it had the principles of like after the hook goes here, then it says that message, and then it does call to action. So there are ways to bend it, but in our case, cut everything in the hook. Once you get it back, cut it again in the QA. 80-20 rule. I'm sure you guys have heard about this one. It applies everywhere. Same in the hooks. 80% of the success is in the 1.8 seconds. You screw that up, editor screws that up, the ad is screwed up. That's all it's going to come down to. Like the 20% of the whole ad is the hook in the beginning. That's 80% of the results. This is like the magic trick thing. Like I swear this is like the key to it. Like just don't show what you're selling, and don't reveal like what you're like. Just don't reveal the trick right away. Let people hang on to this idea, and because of that mystery, you're hooked in. You're engaged. Like imagine if I started this like presentation. I'm like, all right, and this one hack, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to be doing, but if you wait till the very end, I promise I'll tell you this one little hack. And you're like, well, maybe I want to drop off at the 55-minute mark, but like I have to wait to the 1 hour mark to see what you're going to. But if the fact that I showed you what we're going to be learning, you might like not want to be interested in the first 3 lines, but the last 4. In the ad, if you tell people what it is, they won't care. Fishing principle, I'll show you the baits. Like it's just different hooks attract different fish. So change the bait to get different audiences. This is interesting. If you guys, when you go to parties, like people ignore the things that are always expected, but if something in a party is off, like somebody drops something breaks, somebody's standing on like a kitchen countertop, like everyone is looking at that because it's an unexpected thing. There's like, I don't know if you guys have seen the Final Destination promotion, what they're doing for this new movie. Have you seen what they're doing with it? Like the guerrilla marketing?
No, I have seen like trailers, but I don't know anything different about what they're doing.
So they're driving a highway with fake logs on the top of the truck, and the logs are fake moving.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? So you are like, okay, that's a truck. It's a box truck. But the fact that it says Final Destination, and everyone knows that scene where the log just goes and just crushes a car, you're driving behind it. So everybody's driving around this log because they know the thing is so unexpected. But they're posting content about it on their behalf. So
That's awesome.
Like, it's brilliant marketing because it's not marketing. It's just like you're just showing something. It's unexpected on a highway. People pay attention to it. And then the scientific method, the thing that we all ignored in school. At least I ignored it in school, but it's coming back to us now, which is just like the goal of a brief is to have a hypothesis, which is just like, here's what I think will happen. Even if it doesn't work, as long as you create an experiment that is interesting, you can learn from it. That's it. Like there's nothing wrong with knowing what you're doing and being intentional with the clips that you're putting, the hooks you're targeting, but just doing things at random is the opposite of science. That's all we're going to go with the scientific side. Like I'm not saying you guys be scientists. You're going to be creative scientists, not like pure analytical scientists. Like just the hooks are the experiments, 5 different ways to reach 5 different people, or 5 different ways to reach the same person. So that's kind of what, if you would remember anything from this, is just those.
I think one thing I'd add, I don't know if this isn't really a core principle, but something I kind of realized recently about hooks is like a good test for a hook is to present like new information. in a way. Like Ronaldo made a hook for, I can't remember the brand. It was like the tweezer ingrown hair machine thing. But in your hook, it was like, did you know like tweezers were like invented before like 2000 BC or something? It is completely unrelated to the rest of the video, but it kind of frames like presents knowledge, and then in the intro or the body or whatever, it can kind of frame that fact and like turn it into a narrative or a problem you didn't really realize you had. At least like I noticed whenever I'm scrolling on Instagram, the things that usually break my pattern are something that's going to teach me something new within those first 3 seconds. And that kind of hooks me in. So something to think about when doing experiments.
I'm curious to find out how that performed though, compared to the other hooks. So whenever you guys get some feedback, let me know.
For sure. Okay, before I go into like more of now the actual tactics, I guess Ronaldo, like top of your mind, what, you don't have to give every single thing bullet by bullet, but like what is like your takeaway from like good hook versus bad hook? Do you like fundamentally, do you think you understand the difference between those theoretically, not like actually how to create them, but like from a theoretical standpoint?
Yeah, I'm thinking mainly about the timing and cuts. Having worked with video editing before, I think that gives me a good perspective on things, and this is something that the we can say as much as we want to in the creative brief, but the video editor also needs to kind of like have that kind of judgment. But of course, we can QA it later whenever it gets submitted. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be more specific in telling when to cut and when to go to the next scene or shot, or yeah. This is what's standing out to me now, because I don't think I really told them like very specifically where to cut.
Takeaway is mostly that like you really need to have your audience in the first 2-3 seconds have a question that they know they need to find the answer to, and that's really going to hold attention and don't give it away too fast.
Yep. Those are the core things. It's who are you talking to, and then being respectful of their time to get the message through as quick as possible and as efficient as possible. Those are the two core things. Yeah. And then you play on to Ronaldo's original question of, if it's an older demo, how do you then balance the pacing? And then obviously over time we then be more empathetic to that. But at the very beginning, like, you know, you play on quicker cuts and more empathy. Cool. So then we'll go into tactics. If any point this gets overwhelming, I try to make it as simple as possible, just like stop and then ask questions, because this is going to be like very specific stuff, very specific examples, and then we'll workshop. So that's fishing bait. If you didn't realize, that's what bait is, right? And all these things attract different fish. Some of these, I couldn't tell you which one can collect what, but some collect bass, which are a certain way, and some collect carp, which are another way, and some can collect sharks, which are a huge thing. And like these are all the things that can collect that. So introduced these ones last week. These are very tough to do. This is like dependent on the brand, and we cannot create social proof or urgency. We can create social proof and have like the Amazon reviews at the very beginning, but then usually you don't show reviews to something that you don't know that you need. You usually need reviews when you need further clarification on you are making the right decision. But when you don't know that you even need to make a decision, you don't need to show reviews. Humor is really, really good to use, but it's also very, very hard because you have to know the brand's voice. We worked with a brand called Shinesty, and naturally their products were just weird, quirky, like they had a weird dark humor with their brand, and like we tried to upbeat with that, but it was very hard because like they had internal copywriters and comedians writing their scripts. Obviously we don't have that, and we can learn that, but it's just very, very hard. So the core things is like we'll go over today is like story-based hooks and then curiosity-based hooks. Those can work with the content that we have, or with creating visual effects with banners, Google searches, circles, arrows, stuff like that. And one thing I want to reiterate, and I'll remind you guys more about this concept over time, but part of the marketing funnel is there's these things called top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Most of the growth of a business is top of funnel marketing, which is where most of the budget goes. This is actually wrong. Like, it is probably more 80-90% is top of funnel marketing, and then the bottom, as you go closer to the bottom, it gets less and less of your budget, but it converts at a higher rate. Top of funnel is people that have never heard of the product, the brand before, or they never heard of the solution in the way that you are presenting it. So you have a lot of education to do, and they don't care about what you're even offering to them. That's why we do the advertising in the way very efficiently. So you can get somebody who's walking down the street and there's a heckler getting their attention, and then now they're in. Versus if you know the trick, you can tell someone, hey, he's about to do this thing, this is about to happen. But we're focused on top of the funnel. People have no idea what the brand is, no idea what the product is. When you start doing the social proof and the urgency, you play here, and you convert everybody that knows about the product to buy immediately, because you're saying sale ends in 3 days. This is trusted by Forbes, trusted by the Today Show, trusted by Armand, like whatever you want to play on from a social proof standpoint, like that is how you run it. So that's our focus for everything with copywriting here. With story hooks, I'll give you 3 examples. Again, you want to hear the audio, just see the visual. Again, that breaks the rule of showing the product, but the key thing they use here in this copy is, 1, they say personal story, and 2, they anchor to a celebrity's name, Gordon Ramsay. Like, it's very powerful, and the reason it works for them is because Gordon Ramsay is everywhere with these pans, so they can anchor it to Ramsay, and then they see his post and they know, like, oh, I've seen this everywhere, and this is that brand. This is another product. So like, I went from a size 20 to a size 10. Like, is that weight? Is that a dress? Like, I couldn't even tell you, but maybe somebody that's watching it may resonate with a size 20. If this brand, like what this brand does is say I went from a size 30 to a size 20. I went from a size 10 to a size 5. And depending on those things is where, you'll get different people. Like, if somebody shows a weight loss thing to me, I won't resonate. If someone shows me a weight gain thing, I will resonate. But there's a period where I wanted to lose weight and I didn't want to gain weight, and I was resonating with the other thing. So that's part of where you, as a brand, you can try different cues. And this is a brand similar to Paint Your Life. They do books. Like, I will never forget the look on her face. And you show a person talking throughout the whole thing, and then showing the B-roll on top of it. So story hooks generally would just start with I. And Paint Your Life is great because it's point of view, but if you don't have this with like this Plexi brand, then you create that with text. Any questions, feedback?
How would you transform, because you said using questions is better than statements, but most of these have been statements. How would you change that to ask questions instead?
Yeah, we'll do that right after this. I'll kind of introduce this, and then we'll go into the question side. I think there's 2 different parts. There's like statements, and then there are questions, and questions are actually easier to produce than statements, for sure.
Okay.
I think just adding on to that story worth, I think I've seen this work well with like Paint Your Life, or like brands that have a transformation almost. You can use the hook to use like foreshadowing, like you show that grandma crying to the gift. Immediately now, in the intro, the person kind of want to start from square one, being like, I got this gift for my grandma. You now know like how it ends. Now you're kind of more curious on like how you got to that point. The same could be said for like a weight loss thing. You show this guy, he's like very ripped or whatever, use the copy to frame that. And then you start in the intro, maybe he's like scrawny or like talking about how he's weak. You're kind of framing that journey narrative. At least for me, for hooks, that has always worked best, is like foreshadowing.
Yep. Good point. So there's 5 key parts to making a story hook. Step 1, it's making it relatable. So again, this can be more than 5 words. It can be 3 words, but generally 5 words is enough to create a sentence, and it's enough to create something where someone can resonate. So a weak hook that's relatable is, I wanted to lose weight. Very broad. Why'd you want to lose weight? Who's trying to lose weight? If you had a visual of a mom and you said, I wanted to lose weight as a banner, now you can understand, I'm a mom and I want to lose weight. But if you were to use texting as a busy mom of 3, now it's like, okay, I'm speaking to a mom that has 3 kids versus a mom that has a single kid. Completely different hook. I wouldn't resonate because, again, I don't know what it's like to have kids, but maybe there's a different range of like moms with 3 kids, moms with 1 kid. Then you have the emotional transformations. Again, these are extreme copywriting, not expecting anyone to write things like this, but the difference here is showing the before and after, the foreshadowing, like Aim is saying, like, I lost 20 pounds using this method, or I finally stopped hiding from family photos after this. Like, one is very deep into like why people are trying to lose weight. Another one is just like surface level. Not everyone will resonate with this, but people are very tied to that. The third one is specific visual moments. Like if you're selling a acne product, how can you create an image that people can see in their head? It's like, I was frustrated with my skin versus I canceled my date when I saw these 3 breakouts that morning. People that have had that experience can then resonate, but if I've never had that experience, then I won't resonate with this. But this is what gets people to take immediate action because they know that, oh, if this solved this person's problem and I had this last week, I know how much pain this has caused me. Versus, yeah, I'm frustrated, but like, I'll just deal with it. But this, like, that's a painful image that someone does not want to recreate. The skepticism is another powerful thing. Like, you can play on newness and people like things that are new. Like, I tried this new protein powder. Okay, what is this protein powder? What's different about it? And then you can say, be more specific, saying, after wasting $300 on supplements or $300 on protein powders that did nothing, I was skeptical at trying one more. Something like that. Like, you're painting a story. You're acknowledging that somebody's pain that they went through, or showing that they're also skeptical like you, but then you found a solution that they didn't know, and you have the shiny object that they don't have, which is this new protein powder. It's the same exact product. You're just framing it differently. And then I'll kind of skip past like curiosity, intrigue hooks, and we'll go into like specific examples, but we'll come back to this one. It's very similar to the story-based stuff, but it's more of, if you don't have a story to tell, this is where you do statements, or where you do like 3 things that a dermatologist hides from patients, rather than like, this is what you should avoid. But the key thing is creating a knowledge gap. That's the common thing between story and curiosity. It's you're just creating this friction point for someone to want to continue. So here's an example we can play with. You guys can read through these 5 hooks. Imagine this product is HelloFresh. If you don't know what HelloFresh is, it's a meal delivery service. And imagine that you were creating a headline banner for, doesn't be a specific persona, just be anyone. There's 2 good hooks I would say in here and 3 bad ones. So I'm curious what you think would be good and bad. You can just put like in the chat, like a number, or if you want to speak out loud, whatever is easier for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2 and 3 seem like the better ones. They like the other ones are just like, like quick statement or like a call to action with like, we don't even know what this is yet. But the other 2 kind of create like, oh, like how did that happen, or like how is that possible, kind of thing.
Yeah, but can't you also say like, I love these healthy meals also? gives you like this idea of like, well, how are they healthy, right?
Yeah, maybe it's that the 2 and 3 are more specific, so I guess that kind of creates more intrigue. I guess that's what appeals to me about it.
I think it's 3 for me.
Yeah, it's 2 and 3 for sure. The reason I'm pushing back on one is like, well, technically you can make an argument for that, but yeah, it's very generalized, and it's like very specific. Like, what even is a healthy meal? You can now start saying paleo, carnivore, vegetarian. Now it gets a little bit more specific, but it's still not going to play in the pain of like the grocery costs are getting higher. I don't know what to order after through shopping, or this is like gaining weight, gaining muscle. So yeah, those are the ones. All right, let's do this one. There are 2 good hooks. There could be 3, but there's like, just pick 2 from here that you think would be good. This is a little bit harder. But imagine this is like the no days wasted. I think it's a DHM, no, the sleep aid supplement, that product. Like you're selling a product that helps somebody sleep better and get more restful.
Did you want us to say 1 or 2?
You can say whatever you want. I don't have a preference. Is that your final answer? Are you locking in?
I think 1 for sure for me.
Yeah, I was thinking 1 and also 5 because I think they're both kind of interesting, like storytelling hooks.
Also agree with 1 and 5. More leading with 1. I think both are putting you in, it's like a personal journey, I suppose. So you're like more invested to see how that turns out.
Interesting. Yeah, for sure 1. I would have said 1 and 2 as well. 5 is the hard thing about 5 is it's good, but nobody wants to spend 30 days improving something. And that's where it gets hard, because if someone knows how much work it is, like you can get a 6-pack in 90 days. That's all it takes. You're like 90 days. Like to commit to something consistently for 90 days is so much work that people are like, well, I don't have time for that. It's not a good time right now. So if someone's like my 30-day journey to better sleep quality, but then you know you have a trip coming up, or you know you have this thing, like you immediately will disqualify yourself. But also number 2 is challenging, because what if I don't go to my doctor to talk about sleep?
Yeah, I think I like personally have an issue with 2 because whenever I see something that's like doctors hate this, or there's this, or like my doctor just like wouldn't agree with, or whatever it is, like it like is always a red flag to me, as like being like a marketing tactic, and I'm not interested. But maybe not everyone's the same way.
Most are.
I definitely agree with Aaron. I'm like, I see the word trick or doctor or any profession in a hook, and I'm immediately kind of like disengaging. If I had to like reframe it, I would kind of put it against doctor visits and being like, after numerous trips to the doctor, I finally found this sleep hack or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. Right? Like you're seeing something that can raise a flag, and if there's any doubt or skepticism, you just roll past it. That's just how humans are, because you don't trust it. But for sure 1. That's why I said there could be 2 or 3, because like it could be this, but why not like natural ingredients for better sleep? I mean, that's what we do for ground lux, right? Like we just kind of state those things. Like, why don't we? What does that work?
Not for the hook. It doesn't work because it's just not it doesn't create enough intrigue. There's not there's nothing special about it.
We'll do 1 more. Apple Watch bands. Imagine that you're selling Solus bands. I think you all might have worked on this at this point, but you're selling some sort of Apple Watch band. Again, there's 2 of them that I would say are good. Subjective, but like there's 1 for sure that is good. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . .
Number 4 for sure. Well, I don't want to sound overly confident. Number 4.
I
Yeah,
agree
I
with
agree
number
with
four
number
is the
4.
strongest. Yeah. 3 could also work on me just because I think creating a problem for a viewer is also always a good way to like get a hook. I mean, every time a lot of my friends have Apple Watches, and every time I see them wearing a silicone band, I now always hit them with that line of like, "You're gonna get an irritated wrist," and they're like, "Is that true?" And then they start looking at like the PFA chemical lawsuits. So I'm like, I'm marketing in real time.
I was thinking the same thing yesterday. I was seeing my mom wearing a silicone watch band. I'm like, it's getting to me.
Armand, what do you think?
3, 4. I will go first number 3 when go number 4. I think number 3 is a more common issue.
But 4 is very specific, right? Like it wouldn't resonate to you.
Or
But if it
4
was,
is, yeah, like I'm not doing Iron Man. I mean, if I was doing Iron Man, yeah, 4 will work the best for me. But in general, as advertising, I think 3 will attract more people.
for sure. Yeah, I agree that those are go ahead, Liam.
I think I would use hook 3 if the client shows a visual iteration, because I think that'll apply more to more people. But if we're testing 5 different talking points, I would definitely use 4 because that's very specific. But I don't think that would be a good thing to test on 5 different iterations of a hook.
Yeah, because you can play in 5 different extreme adventure sports, right? You don't have to do Ironman. You can do rock climbers. You can go after, like, you can find out who's using it and then, play with those things. But I mean, when you look at most advertising, they'll play on like the most comfortable thing I've ever done. This is the best thing. Like, who says that? Who claims that it's the best? Right? Bullshit detectors will go up from that. You're not making a statement necessarily here. You're just stating your personal fact, which if you can support that with the visual by not showing the product, you're showing a rash that is healed and showing this whole thing. Now you created intrigue for somebody. The friction has been created. If you're showing an Ironman person like finishing a race and saying this, done. You got them through. You got the Ironman person through, but not anyone else because they don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also going to convert very highly because no one ever makes an ad for them. So objectively, I guess the takeaway from this, for me at least, is once you lay everything out and you see them side by side, you can see right away what's strong and what's not. And these are all generated by AI. I did not create any of them. But the thing about this, like AI will be able to write copy. The whole point of all this is AI is going to do all of this. The human taste is the most important thing that it cannot do. It thinks this is good. It thinks they're all really good hooks. I asked it to tell me, make me 5 hooks. And it made me 5 good hooks. And I'm like, these are bad. Give me good ones. And I started training it what a good hook is. But like it assumes this is good because like that is what worked for other people, but that doesn't convert for other people. So AI will write this, but you as a strategist and all of our roles moving on will have to be like taste and selection, curation of these hooks. So you don't have to worry about like creating any of these copies. You just got to pick one that resonates with the person. We can get into a real thing now. This will be fun. You guys feeling good? Going?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have this product, Loop Earplug. If you don't, I can explain what it is. Anyone familiar with it?
No.
It's earplugs for like concerts, right?
It can be concerts, but they have a lot of use cases. So the cool thing about these earplugs is they just look like earplugs and they can be marketed as earplugs for concerts. However, I own them and I use them just for sleeping. I never wear them to the concert. I also brought them when I was backpacking at hostels. They're very useful for me because I didn't like the other ones. And when you really break it down, there's 4 ways to come up with a hook or an angle or a concept. But I'll start with this product and I'll go to their website and tell you how I came up with these angles. But there's really like these are core reasons people buy: noise sensitivity, sleeping, events, parenting, traveling, or focus and work. Single product has all these different use cases, but then within sleeping, you have different use cases and personas. Within events, you have different events. You have business events. You have like concerts. You have different kinds of concerts, indoor, outdoor. So if you break it down even more, right? First step is what are the reasons people buy? Second step is create profiles of the people that are buying. So here's 6 different people that sleep. You're a light sleeper that has a snoring partner. You're someone who lives in a city that has street noise. You're someone who works in the middle of the night but then sleeps during the day. You have noisy neighbors upstairs, next door. You travel to hotels or hostels, or you're a parent who needs to sleep through a kid's noise. Like that's all it is within sleeping, and we break it down even more. But that's just a sleeping angle. We go one step further to events. Those are 5 different events. I don't know anyone that would bring this to a movie. I think you guys probably would not suppress the sounds of an IMAX theater, but like, you know, that is use cases that are happening for people. They bring it to comedy shows, they bring it to wedding events, they bring it to sports games, right? So now from just one event, you now have 5 more. And then if you go break it down one more time, the work and study focus, you have people that are working at an office, and then it's like an open office with people talking around them, people that work at coffee shops, people that work from home with noisy family members, people that work in college libraries or study spaces, or if you're like a creative person that gets annoyed by environmental sounds like birds outside or people walking, right? Like that's a different persona. This is 16 things just from 3 of them, right? Like you break it down even more. And one concept can just be supporting sleeping. And then within that concept, you can do, you know, 5 different hooks for those types of people. And the concept can be fundamentally the same, but the hook you're leading with is different. And it can be the same visual, just a different headline. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. I can show you their website so you understand like how I kind of came through that. So like if I was a strategist and I'm looking at this, I mean, the simplest thing is like I click Command A in my keyboard and I basically just copy this and I bring that into Claude, and you can, I mean, the goal is a brief prompt can do this for you, but every reason people buy is here. It does help that the fact that the brand did break it down also the same way, but it's interesting that Claude picked up the same patterns they picked up on their website. But right from their marketing side, like they notice they don't display intentionally different events, because if they said this is only for concerts and someone's buying it as a mom, they're not going to buy this product page. They're going to be looking for a different one. But because this is so broad, their marketing is very specific. They're running 2,000 active ads currently right now. They're one of the best marketers of Facebook direct response advertising because they target every single angle across the board. Like all 55 of those different avatars, they're targeting every possible permutation of them. But their website is very generic. So if we were to make hooks now, I'll go back here. Once you've identified like these, let's say, we're going to focus on sleeping as the profile we want to go after, you then find the pain points and outcomes. And again, Claude will do this. And if it doesn't, like the briefing prompt will continue to get improved to do this. But the way you know how to make a hook is like what pains do they have, what outcomes do they want, and what are their emotional states that are causing them to not get the outcome or causing them to get stuck in the pain. Before you would have to think about all this, I'm telling you, you don't have to think about any of this anymore. I think Claude is strong enough now to differentiate. You have to then override it and say, no, sleepers, it's not because of this. Or you can do an angle of the light sleepers, but it's not about having a partner. It's about just being a light sleeper in general. Maybe there's a condition for it. I don't know. Like I'm a light sleeper. I use them for sleeping. I don't have a partner in bed sleeping, so it's not relevant to me. they would lose me as a viewer of the ad. So once you've identified the pain points, you then make the hooks, and then there's your hooks. This is all AI, all of it end to end. All I did was like, nope, you went down the wrong route. Cut, 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 and I'll show you the whole Slack cloud thread. But notice these patterns. Like, I spent 6 years sleeping separately from my husband until I found these. What are these? Like, don't show the product. You just say this. I used to use 3 pillows to block noise. Now you just use these tiny loops. What are these loops? This $34 solution saved us from sleeping in separate bedrooms. It's understanding what the end user is dealing with or problems they're experiencing and the solution that they want, and you display to them in an intriguing way. That's it. But 4 steps, it just goes back to who's the audience, what's the angle, and what's the messaging. That's it. That's all it is. Audience, angle, messaging. You just commit to one. You alternate the angles, and then you alternate the messaging. The data that you get back will inform what message worked, which further reinforces what angle works. But you stay within the same audience because fundamentally audiences don't change. Any questions? Makes sense? Makes sense, Liam? Like this like framework?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I'm just thinking, I guess would you say, since loop is like something that's not trying to like go into like one specific category of a person, you should utilize the 5 hooks to target like 5 different people, and then have the intro, body flows, whatever, be more, I guess, like generic and applicable. So it's like you wouldn't make a whole ad about wearing this at a concert. You would just consolidate that to that one.
100%. Yeah. I think everything you guys are doing after the hook it's the process is dialed in there. It's more of the hook is like we can get really specific with getting people in and filtering people out, and then the rest of the story is what you're saying, Liam. It's just like continuation, more general, more broad, but you could also make it specific to the overall audience as a whole rather than the product as a whole. Because you can just show sleeping at an angle, or you can just show concert, festival in an angle, but use the same exact talking points, just change the visuals. But think of it like audience is a who, angle is the why, and messaging is the how. Who is the general person that's seeing this message? Why should they care about your solution? What, like, this is the empathy side, like what are you trying to solve for them? Helping relationships, helping sleep quality, creating more energy, and then how are you going to communicate that to them, that angle to the audience? So when starting a brief, it's just thinking about like part of the process that we're working on the product side is to have the customer really identify the target audience that they want to make it easier here, and they would answer this. However, you have to then curate and see if that even makes sense. Would that even work? Based on the website, are people even buying for this reason? For example, work and study focus. Like, if I was a strategist and someone's like, I want to focus on this as an angle, and someone's like, well, focus on students and libraries. I'm like, well, aren't libraries pretty quiet? Why would somebody wear a headphone that's noise canceling in a place that's already quiet? It seems like a waste of a test, for example. Things like that. Or you might have like somebody saying, like, well, I would just sleep through my children's noise. I don't know, again, I'm not a parent, but I'd imagine like they'll get a lot of pushback, people saying like, well, you're going to completely noise cancel kids crying or screaming. Like, it's probably a hazard to the family. You have pushback on these things. So there's certain things that you have to look at it and say, this doesn't make sense, or this has no content to produce from. So if this makes sense, then we can do a real example with a real brand. You guys can start with the process here. Like, we can break down reasons, what are different ways people buy it, and just come up to like work through one brand together.
Gooder sunglasses. Goodr.
Right. That's our product for the audiences of people that would buy. For instance, like for loop, that was the answer for them. Like, I don't know, chilling on the balcony on a Zoom call. Think more of personas like a beachgoer, for example, or like there's two ways you can approach it. Like you can think of a persona like someone that drives, like people that use it while driving, or like specific use cases. And then once we have a bunch of use cases, we can then bundle them together into a certain certain thing.
Definitely driving. That's the main use of my sunglasses during driving. To make sure I don't hit anyone because of the sun.
So generally the answers will be in the reviews somewhere. See what people are saying.
Yeah, I'd say these could definitely be sports oriented. Like going back to like how they're just very sturdy and stay to your face. This is something I would use like if I was playing pickleball or tennis or something.
And there isn't a wrong answer with any of these. I think it comes back to once you have the list, how much content do you actually have? But the better question is, how big is the market for what you're actually showing? Like for dudes chilling on a balcony in a Zoom call, I think it's just Liam, honestly. Like it's just one of one. So he already has a product, probably not gonna buy another one. But people that drive, how many people drive 15 million, 30 million a day? How many of them already have sunglasses that they're happy with or unhappy with? Or how many of those people don't have a sunglass? And like that could be a huge total addressable market. When people go to the beach, like how many college students live in California?
I guess to rephrase my scenario, I would say I would like market it towards remote workers who are like trying to get outside more. Maybe they're trying to work in their backyard and they need sturdy sunglasses.
Maybe hiking, hikers. Okay, is there one that's interesting to you guys that you want to go deeper into now that we have like some audiences, we can figure out that angle for that person?
I think hikers can be pretty big target. A lot of people are doing hiking.
Not in Chicago.
No.
No.
In California, everybody is hiking. Just like national sport here. Let's go hiking.
I guess
And
if I was
say
doing
outdoor
hiking,
enthusiasts.
yes.
Outdoor enthusiast.
And then you can be outside in the city too. Like go to New York City Central Park, things like that. But also it could be a hiker. I don't know.
I guess if I went with hikers, I'd break it into like two subsets. Maybe one, like vacation goers, they're like going on vacation just to hike, or two, like people that live in Colorado or just like an adventurous mystery.
Cool. And here you can do hikers, and then you can do, you said people walking in cities? What'd you say, Ronaldo?
Like people going to city parks and
People going to city parks.
Also, one of their main selling points on their website is that they have non-reflective lenses, and they say it reduces glare to prevent squinting while you're sprinting. So that could be applied to runners.
That's for me.
Okay, here's how I would open it up. So I would say something like this. Let's say, here's the product I want to create. A profile like this, and I'm attaching an image of the slide. So I'm basically saying I attach a product, just copy the whole website, Command A, then Command C, and then I pasted it inside of here. Not just like the whole product page. And then I'm saying create a profile. That's my desired outcome. And then give me different avatars for an outdoor enthusiast. And you're going to get things that make sense, things that don't make sense, but from a taste standpoint, like you then have to categorize while balancing the product, like what the product is, can it actually deliver for them? So here you go. The trail runners, cyclists / mountain bikers, hikers / backpackers, beach / water sport people, outdoor yoga, festival goers, and dog walkers. Again, Claude would be doing this, but the benefit of doing it this way is you actually see how it comes to be, and then you select one, and then you go deep into it.
How did you get your sunglasses, Liam? Was it a gift or did you actually buy it?
I actually found them on the street. So they were given to me by nature. It's weird. I actually have 3 pairs of these and I've only found them. I've never bought them. It's very strange. And it's always the same pair. I'm very curious about the festival angle though, especially because it's becoming summertime. It's a very popular time for festivals. I'm going to a festival in like September, and I definitely will be bringing these because it's going to be in Austin. It's very sunny there. That's also just a place where there's just really like no shade, and like you would pretty much need sunglasses to survive at a festival in the summer.
You guys want to do that? Is this making sense so far? Like why we're doing this, how we're getting it down, just from like a product page?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just taking the template. What are some pain points that a festival event goer may have?
Glasses falling off your head all the time.
Especially if you're at like a rowdy concert where there would be lots of jumping around. I guess obscuring your view of the performers or the friends that you are with, getting lost and separated from your group at a festival is very common.
What about something to do with style? Do you think that would be important with this product? Like, is it stylish?
I think it could be important for festival goers. Like you might have like a very specific outfit you want your classes to match.
Yeah, it's just something you want something like versatile. You can kind of go with your outfit. You don't have to think about it every day.
I guess since we're talking about pain points, maybe the opposite of that would be usually you have expensive glasses that don't really match anything, right? And these are more affordable, and they can be mixed and matched very easily. So the opposite of that could be art style. Do you think people have a fear of like bringing something expensive because it might get taken by security, might be stepped on, might get lost, things like that?
Definitely.
Which one?
I'd say just a worry of losing your expensive items. I guess another one or a reason I like these is I don't like wearing sunglasses that have like blue lens or red lens frames that like distort the color profile of what I'm looking at. These are like very natural in that way. I wouldn't be like agitated at concert. I'm seeing like the strokes and they're all red. I wouldn't enjoy that.
Are they heavy?
No, they're very light. They're light but sturdy.
Yeah, I get tired of sunglasses because they're like heavy.
Maybe say that they don't leave marks on your nose. I don't know if they do, but something like that.
What are some outcomes that people want? Like, what's the opposite of the pain? Like, what, in the case of, we did for here, there's like pain points, partner snoring, interrupted sleep, drowsiness the next day, drowsiness. Desired outcome is uninterrupted sleep, maintain relationship harmony, and then more energy. What do you think people would want inversely of the pain that they're getting with current options?
I guess like uninterrupted function, like ease of use. One of the reasons I like these is because I don't really notice I'm even wearing them at a point, or they're not something you have to adjust for.
That will solve like pain points. Like it's heavy. It solves like a couple of pain points for me. Falling off the head. Worrying about losing.
I guess like a niche one that people are probably thinking about at festivals is just like synergy with my outfit. Like I guess just versatility again.
And what are some pains, like emotional states, like frustration, which can be annoyance, right? Anything else? Straining. Do you think that would be like an emotional state that people would have, like eye straining?
Mm-hmm.
Like worry, anxiety from worrying about losing expensive items.
And are we going only like the negative effects of and not positive emotional states?
I mean, you can play positive. Like, what are some positive states that you would say?
I mean, that goes with the opposite. Like, are we, because we did pain points, desired outcomes, and the emotional states? Are our emotional states connected to the pain points or connected to the desired outcomes?
Generally, people, rather than getting something they want, they're, I guess from a psychology standpoint, people have more fear of losing something than trying to gain something. So
Okay.
I think it's having positive emotional states is actually better to do.
Because if we play on emotions, we want, like, I'm a user. I see something, like I have sunglasses are issue for me. Like it's very hard for me to find the good sunglasses that like look nice, that are like I have very like strong light sensitivity, so I need really good sunglasses and stuff. So do we want to play on me saying, hey, like, I don't know, you're having eye strains or something, or we're like, oh no, like your eyes won't be in pain anymore, or like that?
It can be either. It can be both, right? I think it's just you can go both.
Because that's
positive
like
and negative.
we will go the opposites. Like we will have the same list. One is like negative effect, one is like the positive effect. That's why I was like, what emotional states are we targeting? Which is best to say, hey, like, do you still feel like your eyes are straining, or your sunglasses are not comfortable? Or we go opposite way, like, oh, like I'm relieved that I don't need to worry about my sunglasses being heavy anymore. So that's the positive, like, or relief, like you don't need to worry about sunglasses anymore. Or the opposite is discomfort having sunglasses all the time, because like I will be walking and like taking out my sunglasses like subconsciously all the time I'm in the shade. So I'm usually like walking like this, because like I feel sunglasses. I don't want to wear sunglasses, but if I'm under sun, I will die out without sunglasses. So I'm just like going like this. And if someone is just saying like, are you like discomfort of moving all the time, or you go, hey, like you don't need to do it. Like that's the same thing, like different approaches. That's what I want to understand. Which approach is better to highlight someone's discomfort and negative thing, which will resonate more, or you're just like promising the sweet part, like you won't feel that negative thing anymore, you will feel the opposite.
Generally, at a more broader scale, people know what their problems are more than they know that there's a solution for that problem. So by identifying the negative, you then have a solution for the positive.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
generally negative is easier to come up with angles or messaging for than positive, because positive is like you're going to lead to the same outcome generally.
Mm-hmm.
The negative, it's you can find all the negatives and find a positive for it, and it's people like positive thinking rather than negative thinking as a solution, not as a
Mm-hmm. But if you want to catch an attention, you better go with the negative, because it's easier to resonate with it.
yeah, problems. People
Yeah.
love problems. That's why I love reality TV show.
Drama.
It's drama. It's problems. It's
Okay.
story. Tension.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just
Yeah.
something you test in the hook. Like I would do like, I think this is like a good problem solution oriented kind of thing, but you would do like 4 hooks testing the negative, starting with the negative, and then maybe do 1 hook that is like, want a worry-free festival experience. And then individually, you just show these women like throwing their sunglasses on very easily. Like immediately, you're kind of, maybe you're going to a festival and you want to do those women.
Hmm.
Now, again, AI would generally do this whole process end to end, but now we'll check it against AI and see what ideas it comes up with, and you can see if you agree or disagree. But all I'm saying, I have like a reference of what I want to get as an output. I want to focus on that event goers, how many great pain points, and desired outcome for. Because one thing you can really play on is like, you know, if the sun's in your face and someone takes a photo and you're squinting and you're like, you're blinking mid thing, like it just is going to ruin the photo that generally will go on Instagram, right? That's a really, I would say, powerful thing for someone that goes to a concert, is to get that shareable photo with everyone that then they reference back. And if you're not prepared for that photo because you blinked,
Mhm.
and like you missed out. But people don't consciously think about that. But unless they've gone to a concert and they're like, well, how do I not have that happen again? Well, here's how you don't do that.
Mm. You haven't put like our own ideas to code, right? This is own ideas.
Our ideas?
Like the things we were discussing, you put like these 3 points in the prompt?
No, I just said like,
Okay. Cool.
I wanted it to come up on its own.
Because it has like versatility as well, like matches the other outfits and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what you can do, this is a final output. Usually like you then would get to this point and then it's like create me 10 different hooks for this persona. again, I'm not telling it which direction to go. This is more of like we can choose from the strategic standpoint. Do you want to do 5 hooks on a certain pain point or 5 different pain points, etc.? Are there any here that resonate?
The only
They're a
thing,
little long and also not enough versatility in terms of like presenting a problem. Like I think they kind of encapsulate the problem and solution in one line.
These are also all kind of mentioning sunglasses already in the hook, and does that count as like introducing the product too early, or just because they're saying sunglasses, it's general enough that you're not introducing the specific product?
Yeah, good point. So this is what every company will do right now. When you have an AI editor, they're going to take these at first glance and say, we're going to launch them because they're good.
Mm.
Right? Curation and taste is understanding that there's promise. And then you say, like, let's tweak it a little bit more. Let's prompt engineer it a little bit more. And then you do things like this, right? Like Liam's saying, these are a little long, don't do a good job presenting the problem, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And then Alder is saying these all mention the products in the hook. I'm just attaching a screenshot of a slide from the good hooks so it understands that. And then I'll see what it comes up with.
I like number 2, and I also like, I would tweak it a bit, but I'd say that festival panic or some way of wording that when you realize you just stepped on your own sunglasses. Or festival photo albums full of me squinting or wearing broken frames. For me, when I read that, I have an immediate idea of what I'd do for a visual. And I think that'd like resonate with those Instagram festival goers you were talking about.
Notice like this product has nothing to do with festivals, but you can make it oriented towards that just from copy. And you can show like one, you could show the product in this respect if you have a bent like thing. You're not saying what it is. You're just saying like this one thing did that for me, or whatever the hook copy would be. Because generally you don't have like visuals of this happening over exaggeration, so you have to create that with text. But you guys took an idea from a product, you picked this, you broke it down into that. The pain points then can be selected, but they're not. This step is not as important. It's more about identifying. This is like the empathy side, like understanding why somebody want this, and then you then convert that into a captivating banner, and then you just throw this on top of an ad, and it's going to perform much better than without any text. It's very specific, and this will target people on Facebook that are going to a concert in September, or have just gone to a concert based on their geolocation. That's how it's going to work. Does this kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Now we can do the exact same thing and do this. Now do it for this persona.
Something I'm realizing is going through these hooks is we're not, I feel like a lot of these are just presenting the idea of sunglasses, which everyone already knows about. We need to kind of format it in a way that is saying why these are better. So like maybe just saying like, obviously sunglasses are going to save you from the sun and like getting a headache, but why are these a better alternative? Like what problems are those sunglasses causing for you?
honestly, this sounded more like the first sentence of a book when advertising for me.
All these?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, AI, like when people are ordering these AI generated stuff, this is what they're just ordering. Like they're just clicking like this because it thinks this is good. So here's like a refined version of it.
Better, I would say.
I like the one about yoga because I personally resonate with that. I also like the walking 20 minutes to the park, just and the whole time adjusting, slipping sunglasses, because I just think that could be the most common problem people have is your sunglasses are falling off your head.
And I think the one with my expensive frames don't survive kids, dogs, and park benches might resonate with like people who have kids, active kids, and your hands are always busy. So
Yeah. So notice this, like if someone selected this one and they don't have kids, they won't resonate. Or if we selected this one and we ran it, if somebody has kids that are 18 or 15 or 13, the parent probably won't resonate. So there's probably a certain age range for a parent. Like they have kids between 1 year to 4 years. They go to the park and like it's a very specific avatar now that somebody resonate with that has that problem and that pain. And you can just show park and you just show that text and that's it.
last one can be like cool too if for people who are just hanging out with friends a lot outdoors, like playing ball and stuff. Like $200 frames can't handle a single game of park volleyball.
I think the last one would be really good at targeting people that are in the market for sunglasses, and then maybe they're thinking about like buying Ray-Bans, which I don't really know too much about the functionality. But those are like $120. You're paying for the style, not the functionality. It's like these are very simplistic. These will
Like my son, like I have Ray-Bans. Like that's the only glasses I found which have the glass is the way I want it with like protection. They cost like $250 and they're not very comfortable. That's just like the only glasses what actually work for my eyes, you know. So I'm just like stick to it. I found finally something which like is good for my eyes and I'm sticking to it, but it slips all the time. So that's a problem for me. I can't play volleyball with it. And I lost it once. I was like, damn, I need to pay $200 for a class. So I don't want to lose that too.
you get Armand to create these testimonials for us.
Hmm?
We need to get you to create these testimonials for us. You're having a lot of problems with your sunglasses.
Sunglasses, that's one of my biggest like challenges in my life, like to find really good sunglasses.
But do you see if you made a video right now and let's say Armand's QAing it and he sees that and he's like, you know, you do a headline that's something about it being versatile and not falling off, like he might actually buy off of just an ad that he's seeing because he's like, I have that pain. Like it just resonates. Yeah. Only he will, not anybody else.
Yeah.
And there are other people like that. That's how we're trying to do is like out of the 5 videos, one of them should just be oriented for that kind of person. And that's totally fine. But they're going to convert very highly.
Yeah, if you're just showing me like sunglasses for $40, $50, which are not slipping, sitting good, I will be like, okay, I'll try it. Why not?
And imagine this. You don't have to mention the price at all in the ad, right? That's the purpose, is not mentioning any price. Somebody clicks in the ad, they assume that it's going to be like, okay, $75, $100. They get here, it's 25.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will click on the ad to go to see like what's the price for it.
Yeah, and then when someone sees it, they're like, oh, that's cheaper than a lunch or a dinner. Like, and this solves the problem. Everyone's detector is like, cool, how much? That's it. Like, cool, how much? I'd love to go to a concert. Cool. How much? $200? Not going to do it. $10? Sure. Like, didn't you go to a hockey game, Liam? Like the first one last year, and you're like, it was like $10 or something. It was like super cheap, and it was like a cool thing to do, but then you had a lot of fun. Something like that. like a
Yeah.
preseason game. Yeah.
Yeah, it was only like $20 or something.
Yeah, it's like, cool. How much? $20. I thought it was 200. Sold. Sorry, it took a little bit longer than I thought I would have, but it was like the fact that you can take something from a single product, spin it in one version, and then spin it into 10 more versions, and then you can infinitely twist it, and the hooks you're going to get are always going to be bad. But knowing what to pick based on who you're talking to is the most important thing. Like, okay, we're still talking about events goers or people at city parks. This has nothing to do with it, so I cannot pick this, right? But if it was like, if I'm going to force it in, it's not going to work. So it's more intentional in what you pick.